What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Meets. I was really loving the tunes then. I was kind of tempted to just keep going with it, but those lovely orchestra vibes had to come to an end. So, as always, with these sessions, we record them for people to catch up later. If you missed out on any of the previous shows, you can find them all on YouTube. Just head over to our channel where you can find hundreds of educational videos, analytical videos. They will really help you on your DApp journey, as it were. So, check in there, take a look. So firstly, a quick apology for last week. We had to cancel last week's show. We had a guest that had to drop out because they were just far too engaged with other priorities. We're hoping to get them back later at another time. However, don't fear, we've lined up loads of great guests all the way through till the end of Feb for Wednesdays and Thursdays. So just keep it all locked on DappRadar Discord and we'll get you through the misery of winter. So without any further ados, every week I sit down with the leading minds behind leading protocols, blockchain games, NFT projects, and DeFi dApps. We dig in, we get a better idea of what's in store for them. Most importantly, we give you guys a chance to ask all the difficult questions. I also ask difficult questions, but it's easier if you guys ask them. This week, we've got $50 in USDC up for grabs, which will be distributed to the 5 best questions. Like I always say, there's no such thing as a stupid question, but just don't ask it 3 times. And also keep a listen out in case other people have already asked the same question, so you can think of something fresh when it's your time to come in and shine. So today we welcome Zain Rana, who's the founder of Dafi Protocol. Zain, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Managed the technical difficulties, but yeah, got through the hurdles there.
Good to hear, man. No, there's always some Discord difficulties, right? Like it can be a bit tricky. But how are you doing today other than Discord difficulties? Everything good?
Yeah, everything good. Really excited to be here, kind of talk about what we've been building and yeah, just pretty much talk about some really interesting and exciting stuff.
Yeah, man, awesome. So we're really happy to have you here, Zain, as always. And just quickly, for my own benefit, I'm going to attempt to summarize Daffy as I understand it, mainly Zain, so that you can correct me at the back end and we can explain things properly. So
Sure.
the sort of top line spiel that I've got is that Daffy Protocol wants to solve the problem of hyperinflation within new projects, rewarding stakers and liquidity providers. So utilizing a synthetic token, you guys want to reward early stakers and liquidity providers based on network adoption. So if I've understood this correctly, I think this is something I've seen occur quite a few times in my job, where a project launches and instantly wants to give its early adopters the opportunity to stake and provide liquidity. To incentivize that, they have to offer pretty wild percentage gains that are really not very sustainable. And then the inflationary pressure hits them and it basically becomes too great and the token suffers from hyperinflation, fundamentally just killing the project before it even gets out of the starting blocks. So Zain, have I understood things correctly or am I wildly off the mark?
No, actually, you're bang on. That's a pretty good understanding. It's kind of one element to what we've been building with Daffy. The wider picture is pretty much programmable rewards for the blockchain. So the way we've kind of built Daffy to become is really this whole internet of staking, where we create more intelligent and more programmable rewards for the whole blockchain system. And that, yeah, can partially mean, you can program staking systems and liquidity systems to have lower inflation. And rather than being rewarded early, the synthetic rewards you've been accumulating will multiply and reward later, maybe when the protocol becomes adopted, if the price increases, if TVL rises, etc., etc. So yeah, it's one perspective of it, but really there's so much more. You can think about in gaming and stuff like that to reward in play and earn systems. You can think about even with NFT platforms to reward transactions and people to do cool things. Essentially, what this is similar to what programmable contracts are on layer 1 protocols, but this is more for staking systems. It's a game theory incentivized model where you can align a consensus of a community and adoption of users around one end goal, which is simply what we've been building and we've launched. We've had a couple of integrations go live. About 10 different pools opened up now for different projects and different chains as well, which has been pretty cool since December.
Okay, very cool. And I think if I'm understanding correctly, this is a platform designed for projects who are looking at longevity, who want to be in this industry for a while. And I said about early adopters, this is a model that that rewards people for hanging around almost rather than getting in early, right? Is that about right as well?
Yeah, exactly that. There's a lot of elements that go into it. Things like fees that are charged when you exit. How do you reward holders who stay in the system, and the ways you
Sure.
can do that. There's loads of different elements, and yeah, we've pretty much created that so far.
Oh, okay, cool. Before we get too deep, because whoa, let's pull back a little bit here, Zane. Um, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you a little bit and the team that are working on Daffy. And I just wanted to pull up one interesting thing because I've been stalking you a little bit, and and I and I see that you were working, well, not working with, but one of the members of the UK Government Blockchain Association at one point in time, a few years back now. Can you maybe start by just telling? I'm interested in that, but I think it's interesting that you've played a part in that with the UK government. So could we start there and then tell us about yourself, how you've ended up here, and then about the team at Daffy and why they're so well rounded to kind of launch this whole thing off?
Yeah, absolutely. My background is I've been in the space for a couple of years, but initially, it was trying to push for institutional adoption of both blockchain and Bitcoin technology as well. So that started off with trying to work with regulators as well as institutions and universities. So there's a bunch of different universities in England that we went to. We pitched blockchain technology. We helped them navigate the hurdles of how it could be used, how it could be implemented on a wider institutional level. So yeah, I've done a lot of stuff like that. I've presented at a lot of universities as well in England for blockchain since I think around 2018. So yeah, it's a personal thing for me. I think to fast track mainstream adoption, I think starting with institutions was the first. And I think in 2018, if you remember back then, that was like what everyone used to talk about in the industry. We need institutions to come on board. So yeah, that was like an interesting background. I'm surprised you you did your due diligence because that's
Oh, of course,
something I had
man.
nothing about.
The reason why, Zane, was I actually had a feeling that we'd met in the past or that our paths had crossed at some point, either in the
It
UK
could
or
have.
possibly in Lithuania to do around, because in 2018 I was actually working at a place called the Blockchain Center, and we were on that same mission about regulation. We were inviting people like Albert Ayatollah over to talk about regulation, and that was the topic of the time, wasn't it? So I do
It
not
was,
blame
yeah.
you for going involved there. So, but that's a great place to start, and obviously, so you're a very accomplished key a speaker by profession as well. You're quite happy to go out there and deliver this information. So that's it's a good start, mate. It's
Definitely.
good.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me is, I wanted to really get stuck in the industry. We'll be honest, investing and price speculation wasn't always some element of it, but it's also the wider point when you fall in love with the technology and what it can do. You do, push for greater adoption in whatever capacity you can. So I think that was a good start to really get stuck and get more public in the industry. From then, I've developed a couple of cool stuff in using blockchain technology, mostly personal ventures, nothing too out there. And then Daffy kind of started off as this whole research project. We were initially looking at how proof of stake models could be better improved, and that kind of then transitioned to creating programmable staking, which is now what we've navigated towards. So we've been building a team around this. We've now got team members across I think like 7 to 8 different countries now, all over the world.
Nice.
So blockchain is global anyway, so it's nice to see so much different diversity in the team. And we've got a good background of traditional finance, some existing projects and successful records there, loads of interesting experience and success coming all together. And to really build Daffy, we're around 9 months in, but really we've got so much more of the roadmap to build on. We've got so much more adoption to kick off as well on the protocol, and we've had a really good past few months, especially on the fundamental level.
That's super interesting, and the timing feels right as well with the DeFi protocols. That this is a year when they'll become more, perhaps not more serious, is probably not the way to put it, but we might start to wean out the big boys from the small ones, basically, and see who wants to be in
Definitely.
this game for the long term, I think. And so your proposition at this point in time is perfect. Did you mentioned then about traditional finance? I'm a bit curious about yourself. Did you transition over from a traditional finance background, or have you is your background a bit different in regards to that?
Well, my initial background in training was a lot different. It was more in science. So I was a biomedical and biochemistry graduate.
Oh wow.
Mostly, yeah, so completely different. Mostly focusing on, medical biochemistry and molecular genetics. So completely different to blockchain. But that was my initial training and graduation and everything. I then worked in a lot of traditional fintech divisions of some UK retailers and brands. And
Okay.
from that point onwards, I then got into trading, being a market analyst in not crypto and blockchain, but in different
Yeah.
industries. Specifically focusing on indices and stuff like that. And then that's how I got into blockchain. That was like my entry and story,
Wow.
pretty much.
That's super interesting. But I instantly thought, just because your course particularly wasn't associated, you've still got an extremely analytical mind, and that's what was required for that course.
Definitely.
So it lends itself completely, right? Like most
Yeah.
people don't actually go into the jobs they study generally. I don't think, do you? You kind of do it,
No,
you do all
definitely
the
not.
studying, and then you think, oh, that's I've kind of nailed that now. There must be more interesting things out there, and you apply it, don't you? So, and the rest of the
Yeah.
team, are they similar backgrounds, or can you mention a few of them? Is there anyone in there that's worth giving a shout out to?
To be honest, I think everyone in the team, probably a few of them even listening in on this right now as well. So no favoritism, but I think everyone is absolutely brilliant in their own element, arguably world class. The main thing is that we've got incredibly bright people. Some
Yeah.
advisors, from top projects as well, and everyone in our team, comes from traditional economics, really mathematically focused. Some market analysts and traders as well. Of course, Daffy itself, it's it's very not complex, but it's very what can we do and what can't we do.
Yeah.
There's so much potential in what we're building. So I think everyone themselves, personality wise, they share probably the same passion in what we're doing, and also completely, in my opinion, brilliant individually.
That's a great answer, Zane. I hope they're all listening. They'll all be very happy tomorrow. No,
Yeah,
good answer. Good
yeah,
answer. But just getting to that, because you touched on it there, that Daffy as a protocol, we can say it's a bit complicated, but let's try to break that down. That's why we're here today, is to try and crack this open a bit so that people can understand on a more basic level what it can do, why it's there, and why it's useful. So I guess the question really is, Zane, is what is Daffy all about? What are the problems that you want to solve? And if we can just try and approach this in a kind of methodical way. So sorry for putting you on the spot with the
no,
methodical
no,
way. But if you know what I mean, like what problems are you looking to solve? Like where was the motivation to begin with? And then how do you get into
yeah.
solving those problems? And why do you think that you are solving those problems?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's go straight into it, right? So I think with Daffy, if we talk about it metaphorically speaking, how people understand smart contracts and the purpose, you can program contracts to do lots of cool things. With Daffy, what we've been working on is the same type of approach, but for staking and reward systems. So how you could program staking and reward systems, often using synthetic assets, and you can program them to do very cool things. This means that you can kind of reward the community, users, etc., based on certain characteristics, certain models, certain requirements. It may be, you want to create a reward program that rewards greater if price increases. It may be more complex that you want to, reward users to stake, and whilst they're staking, they can still, do things like play games in GameFi. There's loads of really interesting things with Daffy, but the best way to simply explain it is what layer one protocols were trying to do for smart contracts. We're trying to do the same thing, but for programmable rewards. And that's really where we've, started off. Initially, we wanted to really tackle inflation. We wanted to create programmable staking where rewards multiply based on, on-chain demand increasing. And now we're trying to, work on other ways you can program staking systems and program rewards so that they do more cool things. GameFi has been a real interest of us for the past 4 months. We've been, not sharing too much information publicly, but really putting our heads together on how we can create something completely amazing. Thinking about, interoperability in the metaverse and, staking, actually owning a share of the metaverse while staking and still, transacting and playing games. What we've been now seeing is Daffy's kind of evolving to go further than just programmable rewards, but to actually kind of become this whole internet of staking. and eventually having tons of different program systems of inflation and liquidity systems, staking systems, GameFi platforms, all built on Daffy. And already we've seen pretty interesting adoption in the past 4 weeks.
I mean, you've got some great partnerships already. Just to rewind slightly, Zain, I just want to touch on this again.
Yeah.
Forgive my sort of basicness sometimes, but so what we're talking about here is Daffy replacing the tokens of a protocol with synthetic tokens. Is that so that therefore the token distribution so somebody's launched a protocol, they want to distribute tokens, but rather than distributing a massive amount of their own tokens and causing massive inflation, they create a synthetic token which acts in the same, well, not in the same way, but gives a similar feature, but can also add more features. Is that right?
Exactly that.
Right.
So the way it would work is Project A would lock, X amount of their initial tokens that they already have. And by doing so, they create these synthetics that they can then program. And the synthetics can, be programmed to do loads of cool things. It really, tests the boundaries and the possibilities of what's possible and what isn't. It becomes really exciting when you start to think about it from that approach.
Yeah, when you think about it from the perspective of growth, like incentivizing growth of a platform. So if the synthetic is programmed to increase on growth of a platform, that makes better sense than an increasing on buying pressure, for example, doesn't it? So that's
definitely.
Cool. I'm kind of happy I've understood it, number one, and I like to do the breakdowns just to make sure that everyone in the audience, and then when we go back and do these later, that everyone can get sometimes people have those questions and they're a bit simple, so they don't want to ask it. So I always ask those questions just to be that person, just so we get
there's
it.
No bad questions. There's no poor questions here, really.
That's it, man. Like, we need to make sure that everybody fully appreciates what's going on here. So, like, as you touched on them, one of the main things I noticed when I called it stalking, shall I say, due diligence, with lots of you guys have been building partnerships with lots of names in the industry. I saw Refinance on Polkadot. Can you tell us some more about the partnerships? And firstly, tell us who you're partnering with, why that was a good partnership, and then what can we expect from those partnerships? Where's the fruit?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the beauties of Daffy is, we've created this project that can be adopted by. There's very few projects that wouldn't be able to adopt it. So that's why you've seen a lot of top 10, top 100, etc. projects. Well, maybe not top 10 now, but many top projects out there, adopting Daffy. A lot of new projects lately integrating Daffy actually on chain. So, not just partnering, but actually going live with the integration. So there's provability of it working on chain. And I think, just to mention a few names off the top of my head, there's Polygon, who we really like to stay close to. We've been working on a lot of interesting things with them behind the scenes, especially on things like GameFi rewards. There's also a lot of other major projects I know a lot of people are fans of, like, the Elrond's Alliance block, NFT projects like Terra Virtua, etc. And what we've been mainly pushing for is, introducing this new approach to staking for their own projects, but also their ecosystem of projects. So again, it's more specific to each individual project, how they're looking at integrating it. But really, there's a curve to the adoption. So initially, we've been proving it with smaller, newer projects. Those who have just came out lately. And as we've now been doing that, we're trying to get more more established projects, more the larger protocols and stuff to come on board. Trying to introduce this more programmable staking systems for their community, their users, and their token holders as well. So there's definitely going to be some interesting stuff to come out there. It does depend on the individual application. A lot of these protocols that are using Daffy and will be using Daffy, they all have their own vision on how this can be implemented. But we have noticed a lot of new focus and a new interest in NFT and GameFi related projects, really taking a keen interest to this, because Daffy itself was really inspired by gaming. Game theory itself and how games have been built, everything to keeping people and users captivated and in the system. There's a lot of mechanics that we've implemented in our own protocol that were heavily inspired by the science there.
The GameFi side of things is absolutely exploding right now. Well, not right now. It has been for quite some time, actually. And it seems logical that they would be most interested in leveraging, especially the NFT in-game items, that this makes, again, it makes logical sense for them. So I guess it leads me to the next one in terms of parts. So you've got partnerships that are sort of like top line partnerships, and then you've got these more sort of integrations, taking it on chain, as you say. So am I right in saying that we're still kind of waiting to see something in the wild, as it were, that the first case study is still en route, or is there something out
Definitely.
there? That's right. Yeah.
Well, I would say that already. I think 4 projects off the top of my head. I think 4 projects have already gone live with their own dTokens, which are these synthetic staking rewards.
Okay.
Over the past 4 weeks, so we've had approximately one project go live a week, and in total, because some of these projects are cross chain, maybe on BSC, Polygon, Ethereum, etc. So some of them have created their own staking systems using Daffy on multiple chains. So altogether, we've had approximately around 10 different pools created. So they've got
Nice.
these own intelligent staking systems they've been creating. So, and that's just recently. The token model plays a really crucial role here, because Daffy tokens are used as fees. So we've had already, can't remember the exact number, but a couple of million Daffy taken out of circulation through just the beginning. A lot of these pools being created for a project to launch the current staking system in its more in its more early state. They have to go on acquire Daffy, use Daffy as fees, etc., and it gets taken out of circulation. So we've had a chunk of Daffy already removed, and it's just the first fee model. We're adding a lot more interesting things, a lot of them inspired by Ethereum's upgrade, the EIP 1559. We're looking at a lot of more volume-based transaction fee models, which are going to become very, very cool over time. But we've already proved token utility quite early on, and I think it's just going to get better from here on out.
I think it was good that you mentioned the tokenomics there and the value of the token in the ecosystem and what it actually does. And you're going to generate a lot of trading volume with the token through these other partnerships, aren't you? Also,
Yeah.
is it would we always necessarily know that Daffy was involved in the project, or is it something? I've got this kind of vibe that it's possibly you might end up being a bit of a B2B solution, and that we may not know that Daffy's
Yeah.
behind the offer, but the D token will show us that. But that might be the only clue we get to know that the protocol is using your system. Is that right?
Exactly correct. I mean, right now, we do a lot of some marketing around these integrations to go live. But the strategy we have in place for the next 6 months is a lot of, you may be using Daffy technology without even realizing. And I think that really is pretty cool. We just want to create this plug and play engine for other protocols to, adopt. And we don't need to, have Daffy at the front. As long as the fee model is in place for, Daffy tokens, then it doesn't really matter, it's going to keep thriving and being used forever, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense. That's why I wanted to ask, because I just thought, would we hear about it, or would it be something going on that we may not always know about, but it's
Yeah,
evolving as we go along.
exactly.
Then
Yeah.
I'm going to grab a couple of questions from the audience. I've got a couple of people waiting there, so I'm going to invite them up. Just bear with me. We might have some technical difficulties. Okay, I've invited a couple of people up onto stage. Hey, Winter, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, man? You good?
Doing pretty well. How
Shoot.
about you?
I'm all right. I'll be better when I hear your question, because they're always really good. So hit
Aw.
it.
It's always like surprising for me that you remember that I just come up here every once in a while.
Yeah, man. I remember
Yeah,
everything.
thank
Shoot,
you.
shoot, Winter.
You want me to start with the questions?
Yes, please, mate.
All right. Hey, how you doing, Zen? Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise. Really, really happy to be here, and really looking forward to all the questions coming through.
Awesome. Hearing your project and your DeFi, hearing all about it, I I believe that allowing early adopters and people who come in early to have, like more stability or, rewards over time is a great thing. And in my opinion, this gives people who are not that involved in the crypto space more reasons to hop in, right? So my question would be, do you feel that your DApp could be a tool for people to get involved in the crypto space more easily? And if so, how do you think it does it?
Yeah. It is a great question. I think it's exactly that. The whole purpose here is that you kind of like own a part of the protocol on network, and you don't need to be too crypto savvy over time. That's definitely the direction we want to take. I think it does resonate a lot with the plans we have for things like GameFi. Working with the plans we have there are a lot more appealing to the everyday, really early retail person who can just use staking for these rewards that they know that will multiply over time. So they don't need to worry about getting diluted by whales. They don't need to worry about getting directly dumped on. There's loads of cool, I guess, peace of mind. It's the whole point of you don't need to worry about it. If you're staking and you're getting dTokens, they are like a fragment of the network, which is pretty cool. And especially for new projects and rewarding in bearish markets, this is fantastic because the protocol doesn't have a huge token emission. Rather, the rewards they've distributed are synthetics that would then later multiply. So there's definitely a lot of peace of mind, psychological benefits for it, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great because like that's a big issue with GameFi right now because everyone hops in and then the first crash comes and they just don't want to be part of it. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Winter. Good question. I knew it would be. I'll see you next week. All right.
Yeah, the side hustle.
Who's next? Golf Wars. How you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
Are you there?
Yeah, hello.
All right. I'm going to skip to Mr. Sohao for the time being.
I could actually hear Gulf Walls. Maybe there's a technical issue. Yeah, I could hear him.
Hang on.
Am I audible?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
All good? Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. One thing, one question I have in my mind, and it's like whenever a new project is there, so initially they are starting off with some reward programs where they give a huge amount of staking rewards to all the users, and in that we often see that large whales, they are taking benefit out of it, and they just make a quick profit and then they just dump all their tokens into that and they just leave. Whereas the people which are already there from the starting of the projects, and in which most of the people are small holders, like and they are the one who actually suffer a loss. So does your protocol take care of those people who have invested from initial point but their amount is less?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's one mechanic that we've implemented in the protocol, which is like withdrawal fees. So every time there's, in this case, a whale who is absorbing a lot of the APY and the rewards in the pool, when they withdraw, some of their rewards will go back into the pool to the people who are staking and still staying in, especially those who, as it's not linear distribution, those who have been staking, especially early on, and maybe not have a large staking position, they're essentially getting paid by the whales to exit. It's a very cool mechanic. It's not too complex, but it does, mean that you're getting paid for staying in the pool. And the whales, in this case, will have to pay you some of their rewards. So we've implemented that, and it's worked really great. We have, statistically speaking, far better user retention in what we call super staking, in contrast to traditional staking. And other elements of it, of course, include, reward multiplication. So here in this model, there isn't just simple APY. There's two types of APY. One, which is your current dToken rewards if you're a whale and you exited now. And the second is potential. The potential is what the peak of your synthetics would multiply to. So, your APY may be 20%, but your potential APY may be 200%. So, if you're a smaller player and you keep staking in the pool, as the dToken synthetics are programmed to multiply, over time, the whales may exit, but your dTokens may multiply 10x, meaning that the APY you've actually been accumulating is 200%, whereas someone may have exited early as a whale at 20%. So there's a degree of variation there. And again, this goes back to programmable rewards. You can program them to multiply when on-chain activity changes. So whales who come initially to absorb the APY and then exit a month after the program's been launched, especially when TVL wasn't that high in the pool, this is a model that it's appealing to them somewhat because this can maintain high APYs, but it's more better in the sense of there's far more mechanics for the person who stays in the pool and maybe doesn't have a high staking position as them. You know, the people who care about the protocol.
Yeah, that is quite a great initiative. And one my another I have another query. It's like in current time we see that many projects are adopting this NFT staking. So where based on their holding of the NFT, they are staking their community with the rewards. So do you think this simple concept have many more innovative ways where it can be used for rewarding the community and making the project more interesting?
Yeah, actually, one thing we're developing behind the scenes right this second is NFT staking models, but there's some really cool innovation around there that we've been, doing research around for a couple of months now. So if you stick around, you should see some very interesting innovation around that coming from Daffy in the next few months.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very much
much.
for answering my questions.
Great questions, Golf Wars. Thank you, man, as always. Okay, Mr. Sohal, are you there? He is.
Yep, I'm here. How are you, sir? How are you doing?
Very good.
We're all good.
Yeah, so I'll get straight to the questions. I was going through the documentation, available on the Dafi website. So I've got few questions from that. The first question is regarding super staking, which is one of the products of Dafi protocol. So based on the information available, it's kind of inverse of standard stake pools. Like in standard stake pools, APY is higher in the beginning, and then as more and more people join in, it just falls down, right? But in
Yeah.
super staking, in the beginning, it's less rewards, but as more and more people join and demand factor goes up, there will be more rewards. So do you think there would be a challenge to attract new users in the beginning to super stake pools because they're not that lucrative APY in comparison to standard stake pools?
It's a good question. I think so. It's a good question, but even the initial APY, the whole point here is that you can maintain a high APY. It's just how it's being distributed. Rather than setting it high initially, it can multiply and become high later. So yeah, an APY initially may be only 15, 30, 40%, something like that, which is still pretty good. But the key thing here is that if you stay in the pool and demand factor does increase, then your rewards will multiply. And then it'll be as if you've been getting maybe 100, 200, 300% APY. So definitely not everyone would be interested in it, but we think the bulk amount of people would be, because if you're staking in a protocol, you're holding tokens in this system, a lot of these people, they want to see higher APYs, but they don't want the effects of whales, just exiting after the first week and, defeating the whole purpose. This achieves exactly what we've set out to, where we want the people who care about the protocol to see their rewards multiply. It's like they own a fragment of the network pretty much, and as a network becomes more adopted, etc., that fragment is programmed as a synthetic, is programmed to multiply. So it may not appeal to everybody, but we still think it's competitively far better than staking 1.0, which is what we've seen so far.
Yep. So it would, definitely make it more sustainable in the long run. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's one more question. It's regarding fees. So definitely you have to defend against the bots. So there is a fees, but on the documentation, it's like 25% of the rewards once you claim or unstake from the pool. So do you think it's competitive in comparison to other stake pools? Because generally it's around 2%, 3% on some pools, but it's 25% in case of DeFi protocol super staking. So how do you see that?
Yeah. Well, what we've done is really cool. We've added this fee upon your rewards, and it goes back to those who are staying in the pool. Initially, the fee is set really high, and we lower it over time. So, initially maybe 25%, then after maybe 6 months, it's 15%, and then 5%. And then what it's done is it's achieved exactly what it set out to. Those who have high rewards at the beginning and exit are paying a large portion to those who are staying in the pool. And over the time, as that, mission or as that objective is achieved, we start to decline the withdrawal fee gradually. So in increments, it works exactly what it's set out to, but it's a far more dynamic, and it works quite well because you'll see those who are staking Daffy right now, they're getting paid by others who are exiting the pool. And over time, once they've been staking for a large amount of time and maybe they want to claim some of the rewards, the exit fee is then reduced for them, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Thank you for answering the question, and can't wait to try out your product. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sohal. Those questions are really good, Zain. I think it kind of, in a very diplomatic way, you kind of saying that, you know, the solution isn't for everybody. If you're looking to make a fast buck, perhaps this is not going to be appealing to you, and in many ways you're kind of punished for trying to run away early, which is this I've seen in other systems as well, systems like Hex, where it works quite well. People don't sell, they stay. So I think trying to bring balance, really, isn't it? Like, you still want the whales there, but you need to find a nice balance. Greg, are you still there? I'm sorry for making you wait so long.
It's no problem. I'm still here. So I've been following Daffy for a little while. I know you guys are building your own bridge, and that will bring Daffy to Smart Chain, which is awesome. But I was wondering if there's any of the utilities that this bridge will bring. What else it will bring to Daffy?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we've got our cross-chain D bridge set to go live pretty soon, within literally the next couple of days to a couple of weeks. It's just literally in the final phase now. The D bridge itself, the main purpose is it brings Daffy to more and more blockchains. So we can then support all the protocols, all the tokens on each individual chain, and become, you know, far more competitively positioned. So the purpose of this is to, you know, make Daffy available on, firstly, Binance Smart Chain through our own bridge. It then means we can also collect Daffy in fees from staking going live with different projects on this chain, which works out quite well. So yeah, that's the main purpose. I think it's gonna be fantastic, you know, to fast track and be a catalyst for Daffy adoption. And yeah, we should see that go live pretty soon.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it was the fees that I was interested in hearing about. So that's great. Thank you.
Cheers, Greg. Thank you, man. Grizzling, are you there? Your picture always scares me a little bit, man. Is he there? Scared him away. Grizzling.
Yeah, I can't hear him
You
either.
can't hear him either. RLO, are you there? They are there, but we cannot hear them. Right, guys, technical difficulties as always, bear with. All right, no worries. Let's wait for these guys to either hop in or not. But I have a question. I was reading about Nova, Daffy Nova. Can you tell us a bit more about that, Zain? What is Daffy Nova?
Yeah, Daffy Nova is pretty cool. It's a product we just recently started working on a few weeks to a few months back. And Daffy Nova would basically mean those who are currently staking Daffy for synthetic rewards, currently they're getting yield from two places. Initially, it's from, you know, the token allocation that we have that goes to Daffy stakers, as well as the buybacks that other protocols are doing. You know, they're purchasing Daffy to send to those who are staking Daffy. And then the third way that we've now launched is with Nova. Now, Nova is kind of like it's this multi-launchpad product where we partner with different launchpads. We're not a launchpad ourselves at all, but we partner with different launchpads and new and interesting IDO projects that are using Daffy technology. We basically get allocations in them and give to Daffy stakers. So there's a bunch of different ranks and tiers. If you stake Daffy, depending on how much Daffy you stake, there's I can't even remember all of the tiers, but some really cool ones like Cosmonauts, Apollos, Voyagers, etc. And depending on how much Daffy you've staked, you sit in different tiers, and that gives you a percentage chance or probability of getting into these new IDO allocations of different launchpads as well. So it's kind of like you stake Daffy, and rather than having to, you know, trying to get into different launchpads, etc., to diversify your portfolio and get different allocations, all you need to do is just stake Daffy, and that's pretty much it. which is really cool. I think a lot of the community really liked it. We had plans to launch the first projects using Daffy Nova this month, but with the market downturn, we think, for the community, it's a little bit better and more safer if we delay it, as a lot of the best IDO projects, have been delayed too. But I think it's really great for Daffy holders as well.
Very cool, very cool. I was super interested to hear a bit more about that. And it really tapped into that game theory side of things that you mentioned at the beginning as well, right? Like it's...
Yeah.
Did I misunderstand there though? So you're sort of getting Daffy to get the chance to participate in these launched projects, or is it random, or what? How does that work? Do I get to choose?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit more. So the exact model of it, how it works, it will vary depending on project to project. I think for the first few, it's kind of like you don't need to choose; you'll just get these new tokens. So it's like you're staking Daffy and you're getting new tokens, and that's all you need to do. But the key thing is here, rather than having to go through hoops with different launch pads, etc., to get exposure to different allocations, here you just need to use Daffy, which is pretty cool.
Got it. So it's like an aggregate. It's almost an aggregator for those kind of...
Exactly.
And it does feel like the time is right where sort of the people who operate within DeFi and, us basically, Zain, it is quite a complex industry. You want to make a quick trade. It's anything but quick most of the time. So aggregating services feel like, it goes back to the question we had earlier about adopting new users and bringing it to the mainstream. I think aggregators is a way forward. Anything that can streamline the crypto process has got to be beneficial, in my opinion. So it's great. RLO, are you there now? We can't hear you, man. Your mic is definitely on. No. Grizzling, second chance. No. Grizzling's always asking his questions. I don't know what's happened. He must have a tech difficulty on his side this week by the looks of it. All right, cool. So I think we've done... Zain, you've done an amazing job of explaining what the protocol does, why we should be we should be excited about what it can offer the industry as a total. But, you said at the beginning, you're 9 months in. So this is early doors. What reasons do we have? What compelling reasons can you give me, Zain, to get super excited? Like, what's next for Daffy in 2022? What's coming in Q1? Let's talk about Q1 a little bit.
Yeah, we're super excited about what the next few months will mean for Daffy. If I'm a little bit quiet on social media and stuff, it means I've got some epic stuff to show the world, which we've been just working on. So in Q1, you'll see a lot more of our product focus to be around GameFi and earning rewards there. Again, Daffy is all about reinventing protocol rewards, and gaming is without a doubt one of the best applications for us to really catalyze our whole process of adoption. So you'll see a lot more products and focus around there. Token utility is about to get even better. Now, bearing in mind, we've already proved some very early token utility. So, we've already seen, other protocols acquiring Daffy, buybacks occurring. Now with more volume-based utility, you'll see more Daffy being taken out of circulation, things like burns and stuff being implemented. And again, APY increasing because stakers getting Daffy sent to them through protocol adoption. All this stuff is really cool. It's very interesting for the Daffy community. I think we've got so much stuff to come out. So we should see again more product focus around GameFi, things that are going to be really bringing in new retail into the industry that we feel, and we're bringing in some really interesting technology rather than simply creating a game. We're creating this whole middleware platform for every single GameFi platform out there, and really creating this whole interconnected, interoperable metaverse, which yet has not been done. And a lot of it is using existing Daffy technology. We should see a very, very good Q1 and Q2. It's just right now, it's kind of good with the market conditions being a bit turbulent. For us, we just put our heads down and we can focus without any noise in the background.
No, it's true. Like it's sometimes some people pray for these moments in time where the noise dips, and I think we are certainly in one of those moments in time with Bitcoin dropping off, and you feel it in the air, right? The conversations are moving slightly. For us, For the builders, it's great. It gives us a chance to reevaluate
Yeah.
what's happening and what's going on out there and actually get stuck in a slightly different direction perhaps as well. So it's very cool.
Definitely.
And the GameFi stuff, I think
Definitely.
I've watched GameFi just go. I started at DappRadar nearly 3 years ago now. So games on the blockchain are nothing new as far as I'm concerned. They've been around a hell of a long time. We've seen gaming, but what I observed was that gaming really struggled until it added tokenomics, until it brought in DeFi mechanics from what we saw over 2020. And we were sort of prophesizing our gaming will become big, and then we thought, no, it's just going to converge here. We're going to see a convergence. So as much as the data that from our perspective is pointing in the direction that while prices may be down, that gaming dApps are still pumping hard and the transactional count there is high. People are still playing, people are still using, and even the underlying tokens are still going up. So it's almost like if there's two areas here, and I'm going to start more this year, but kind of, you got NFTs, you got gaming, and you got crypto, and you can't just put them all in one basket. They're not the same people, they're not the same traders, arguably. So it's very exciting to hear that you're going to be moving into the GameFi side of things and applying those. And I think they need it most, actually, from what I've observed over time. They're the ones who can benefit massively from this, and their platforms can, they're already bringing in 500,000 active wallets a month, some of them. So what's next? If they can bring in a more formidable, safe platform where people feel more at ease to jump in, like you said, those psychological things, they mean a lot though, right, Zain? Like I
totally agree.
They mean a lot to us, and so if they mean a lot to you and me, then they mean a lot to everybody. And I think one of the problems we have is trying to communicate how these things work, and that's why I really love these sessions, because you've articulated what Daffy does really well, and hopefully everyone in this group now gets it, which is not always possible from a white paper and not always possible from a quick bit of information, so just want to
I totally agree. I mean, from a personal standpoint, I really love just to get out there, be really public, trying to get more of an intimate discussion about the project, sharing some of the stuff that ordinarily we wouldn't over simple posts and stuff. So really, putting more of a public image and more heart into discussions, I think is often overlooked in the industry. But I think it's fantastic. And we can even have another AMA around a few months where we actually revisit the discussions we had now. I think it'll be pretty good to foreshadow a lot of the stuff we've been talking about now being foreshadowed and then revisited later. It's some fantastic stuff to come out from Daffy. I think the next 3 to 6 months should be pretty big, and we've got a really unique and novel utility in the industry. So as we're trying to get into these new industries to fast track adoption, take it to the next level, which it's already been working on, but really the next level, it should be fantastic.
It's awesome to listen to, and I think it's important, and I agree with you completely, Zain. I think it's important to listen and talk to the people that work on these projects in the real world, rather than how they're represented in blog articles or tweets or things like that. Get an idea. For example, we had a guy called Max from Money on Chain, and Money on Chain, from an outset, just looking at it, you might be like, oh, it's not for me. But when you listen to Max and you talk to Max and you understand his motivation behind it, your opinion almost changes. You're like, okay, I got it. I can see now why they say what they say. So just to back that up, that's why these sessions are important, I think. I'm going to try RLO one last time. He's still hanging around here. Are you there, sir? His mic goes off, but we can't hear him. Troy.
See, now I'm super curious what his question was.
Why not? I really want to know. I think perhaps... Hang on 1 second. There is a chance that he's messaged our assistant. Aha! His question is, here we go. How effectively are users are getting incentivized with super staking facility? I do believe we may have answered that.
I mean, I think right now, I would have to double check the model, but in its current state, we have the V2 pools, and you can get around between 20 to 30% immediate instant APY, and then multiplied or potential APY of around 200% and up. which of course, because you're not staking for traditional token rewards, you're getting synthetics. They themselves can multiply to achieve that 200%. So I think it's pretty cool. But you can go onto stake.daffyprotocol.io and you can take a look at that. But it's being proved already right now, but in just early days still. It should be getting better. And as we get more protocol adoption, there's more Daffy taken out of circulation and deposited into these staking pools. So APY is always going to just increase over time.
I think one thing people may struggle to get their head around is that idea of potential earning. The idea that there's it's like a lottery. Well, I'm not going to use the word lottery ticket. It's like potentially you can get something, but how many times are you asked, about that potential? What's the potential of you reaching your potential?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever asked that?
Well, we can get very philosophical about these things. But I think all in all, there is that learning curve that would exist with any new protocol and any new initiative. Here we kind of see potential. You could replace that with multiplied almost. So at its peak, you may be getting right now 30% APY, and you may have 1,000 rewards, but that can multiply 5x at a higher multiplication and a higher APY. So there is definitely that. But again, it's going back to this is programmable rewards, right? Similar to Layer 1 protocols with smart contracts. These are smart staking, and we've programmed different staking systems, and different projects will program different reward systems, to rewards people based on a consensus or a mission goal, essentially. So that's the end goal. But I think right now already staking Daffy is pretty cool.
Definitely. And Zain, one question I just thought of: can the goalpost move? Does that make sense? So if you set it up, can it be amended? Can it be altered? Can it go to a governance vote, for example, about amending the incentivization method? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, we kind of want to position it more, down the voting and DAO governance, where over time, people can vote on the inflation of the protocol, or vote on even new pools being created with different programs, staking systems. That's the direction we kind of want to go down. But definitely it can be.
Very cool, very cool. Troy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Whoa, he's here. How you doing, man? Fire away with your question.
Good, thank you. So my first question got answered. That was the NFT stuff. Then the second one got answered. And so I have a third one. I'm working with this Hive blockchain, and I kind of work with a few of their second layer outposts. One is a game, a first-person shooter, awesome game being developed. And we're talking about building an outpost for staking the second coin that's about to be launched off of it. And the Hive blockchain has some staking rewards and a lot of similar things. Nothing about taking more for the unstaking and stuff. So that's really nice to hear the solutions. It's really hard to get a hold of some of the devs there to really get into that on that blockchain. So it's kind of cool to hear this and be able to work right with you guys, and have some questions about there's another outpost which is a bank, another outpost which is a gaming token, and building a whole gaming guild, and just questions about like all three of these outposts, possibly working with a protocol like Daffy as you get into BSC and the other protocols to cross-chain and combine these unstaking penalties, staking rewards, super staking. Does it sound like this will be something you'll be developing this year, possibly, and be able to work with, say, Hive after BSC and some of your other main blockchains? And like, would we have to get in line, or would we be able to just jump right in, throw our projects at you and say, what are we looking at here for a time frame, basically?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, right, the goal is to be available and compatible with as much chains, as much as possible, really. So it's without doubt something we're always looking for. There's always going to be first move advantage. We have already, since we opened up integrations in December, the projects who were already on the waiting list went live first before the others. So we can definitely work on this, and already actively we've been working on a lot of NFT staking and GameFi stuff that truly is absolutely groundbreaking. So I think, yeah, just drop an email or just join our Telegram, and then, or Discord even, and drop a message, and then we can get the conversation rolling, because this is something we're already going to do. It's just inevitable. It's not if, but it's when.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm not a developer. I'm kind of a mover and a shaker. So I'm going to bring a couple of our guys over, and definitely we're going to get
Absolutely.
into some conversations. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Awesome. That's great to hear that already within 55 minutes of talking, we've got someone who'd be interested in integrating with you, Zain. That's great. Big Baldy, are you there? Nice name, by the way.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
How you doing, man? Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. I'm involved in a GameFi project. They got a few games, already done some cross-chain bridging, really strong team, but I'm not that guy. I'm one of those guys that aren't very savvy. I was recently put in charge of the Discord channel, and I am wondering if these type of protocols can be used to increase engagement and add staking and rewards to my Discord channel.
Interesting. I mean, in theory, as long as you have collateral, meaning tokens to distribute, then anything is possible, really. You can collateralize them and lock them in a reward pool in something like super staking and incentivize people based on that. So I think it's definitely something to look into. It may just be a little bit more of a flexible approach in terms of how it will be implemented compared to what we've already done in the past few weeks, but anything is possible, really.
And how large do I got to come in for this?
Well, so if you have a reward token, anything in terms of some basic formulas have to be done. How much you anticipate that would be, given to users who as rewards, and based on that, how much is fair. There's just some small numbers crunching that has to be done, but really, it's not to come short someone on our Discord, or I'll probably just drop a message down and kind of chat about it and get something moving in that.
All right, great. Thank you.
Nice, man.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for the last question. Great questions, everybody. Really, really good. Got some customers, Zain. Awesome. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, man, to just shout out your socials. I know you want to grow your Discord. Hit people with what they need.
Yeah, definitely. So Twitter, of course, is probably our first point of contact, and Telegram, but Discord is what we're trying to build, the whole community of Daffy notes around. It's something we're trying to grow. So I think someone, maybe myself, will drop the Discord link in the chat somewhere, and then just come down. We've got a pretty healthy community. Everyone's pretty friendly, willing to help out if you've ever got any technical questions, guys. And you'll definitely be seeing more about Daffy. We're super ambitious and we're just getting started. We're not taking our foot off the gas pedal, and you'll see a lot more about Daffy, whether you're in our community or not. So get stuck in and get involved for sure.
That's great to hear, man. It's great to hear. So if you're interested in the project and you're interested in what they're up to, follow them on the socials, check them out on Twitter, and have a look on Discord. The best way to find them, go to DappRadar, type Daffy protocol, and you'll get all the social links when you get to the single Dapp page. Little plug there. So that's all the time we've got for this week, guys and girls. I just want to thank everybody for attending. As always, much love. And we hope you learned something. And tomorrow, here on Discord again at 4 p.m. UTC time, we've got our lead analysts, Pedro and Modesta, and they're going to be digging into whether the recent crypto crash has affected NFT markets. So I want to thank Zain again, and I just want to say thank you for articulating this fairly complex conversation. You've done it amazingly well. I think most people should really, really now understand what Daffy is all about and why it can be useful in our industry. So thank you, Zain. And man, I wish you all the best of luck. And I'll no doubt see you again on this show, because as you said, the next 6 months and the next 9 months for you guys are going to be super important, right?
Absolutely. And I appreciate the time. And I think, we should revisit this conversation and have another AMA, and then just talk about the awesome stuff we brought to the world and the industry over the next few months.
Definitely, man. I'm always happy to do that with good projects. All right, cool. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Zain, for your time. Much appreciated. Yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all next week. And don't forget about Pedro and Modesta tomorrow, 4 o'clock UTC. Take care, everybody.
See you. Bye.
See you later.